been meaning to make this video for ages, and somehow it hasn't quite come together, and I don't even know if it will now, but I thought it was worth making a start because I know there are other people out there who are or have been in a similar position, and so it's a good way to open dialogue, I think. I know for a fact that when you haven't lost somebody who is important to you to death, and when I say that I mean a parent, a child, a partner. It's hard when you lose someone further away than that, but it is different. I can say categorically that it's different. You still go through the same kind of process, but it has a different kind of impact on your life. That if you haven't been through any of those, and you might have some comprehension if you've had someone relatively close, you won't get it. You just will not understand. And it's not the fault of the person who hasn't been through it. It's even though it's tempting to think, as I have done in the past, how callous. And I'll give you an example. My father died many, many years ago, and the partner I had at the time, 3 weeks after he died, when I burst into tears, said, "Haven't you got over it yet?" And I mean, I was so taken aback. It was just, just how anybody could think that you would get over the death of a parent in 3 weeks was just extraordinary. And it was a sudden death as well. But I think, on reflection, though few have been that callous since to me, you just have no comprehension whatsoever if you haven't been through it. My mother, as many of you know, died last year, and it's taught me a phenomenal amount, but it's also shown me how very, and again people have said this to me, how very long and drawn out a process grieving can be, and how the impact of the changes upon you can affect your life, and the fact that actually you are forever changed. You grieve, you carry on, you don't actually feel less of a person than you were before, but something's missing. Something is very different. There is a certainty that is gone. There are all sorts of different things that can affect you. So when I'm talking about life after death here, I'm not necessarily talking about the grieving process as a formula, though anyone can go and read up. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, as I'm sure I've said before, excellent writer who has coined quite a lot of very useful ways of looking at both the process of terminal illness and of grieving. But the changes and the impacts and the way you feel, the way you can feel, varies enormously from person to person, but it's extraordinarily powerful and surprising, and comes back and back and back in various different ways. The fact, even though my father died many years ago, he's still in my mind from time to time. I still consult him, if you like, not as a spirit entity or anything like that, but just because I know how he would have seen something, I know how he would have thought. So if I have an issue that I'm wondering about, I will sometimes, if I'm confused, think, I wonder what he might have said. But with my mother, it's been very different. My entire life has changed because of the coming together of all the impact of what my father had done before he died, and the results of it, which have come about after my mother has died, plus the fact that I am now an orphan, plus you know, the fact that I was moving anyway in order to be nearer my mother, and had to move anyway because everything was in place. And so there is no, I can't say no, because there is the odd thing that is continuing on, but very little solid ground on which to stand, and also that suddenly there is death, my death. There's nothing standing between me and death. Now, you know, there never really was, but when your parents go, you realise that, you know, you're theoretically next in line, and that's been quite strange for me. Though I will say, you know, everybody's, as I keep saying it, and it becomes tedious, but everybody's experiences are different. You know, the way somebody died, and whether you travelled that journey with them or not has an impact. How openly you were able to do that. I mean, I was very lucky because my mother had spent most of her life preparing for death, in the sense that, you know, she studied and worked with the dying and the grieving, and so we were so open with each other. I did a lot of my grieving before she died, which I considered myself very fortunate in, but there are still quite a lot of things that come back at you, and as I put on someone else's video today, I still dream about her. The dreams are almost invariably that she's not dead, but she's still dying, and I'm very confused because everything that she had when she was still alive, I've got rid of, and so there's nowhere for her to go, and all sorts of, you know, the mind is trying to organise and sort and process what's gone on, and I think this is important. It's relevant, and the majority of people expect you to just get on with your life, and after a very short time to stop feeling the need to talk about it or think about it or have it have any impact on you. And one can understand that, you know, it does get tedious if you're droning on about it. But I think there is a real place for those who have been through it or are going through it, or can support others who are going through it, to do so. I don't think it's useful or helpful to just try and push it underground. And I mean, I'm kind of becoming aware, that there's something in me that is unaddressed, because I'm an only child, so I had to cope with absolutely everything. Not just the dying, but the death, the after effects, everything about my mother's life, which, you know, just gone on and on and on. And so my own needs, I think, have been put to one side, and I'm sort of slowly becoming hang on. There's something that needs to be looked at here, or addressed, or felt, or explored, or what have you. So I think, I'm not talking in terms of some support group, but I do think that open dialogue can be really helpful, and just the sharing of experiences and feelings and thoughts and tips and so on and so forth. So, you know, if anyone's got any ideas or wishes to add to this, that would be great, because, you know, I certainly don't have all the answers, far from it.